Hello, Randy Rain here, and no, I didn't forget about Mother's Day. It's this Corona. It's the Corona. No, see, my brother and sister both have birthdays this month, so we decided to combine the birthdays and Mother's Day in one to do the social distancing thing to keep it at a minimum. And so that's what we're doing, which is a good thing because I didn't have any presents, so this is what I did. So in Texas, when you get into your elderly years, it becomes mandatory to have a garden. Now, not just raised gardens and potted plants, you also have to have some garden decorations as well. As you see, my mother is in very good compliance. You can see that there's a deer here, a dog over here, 2 cats here, and even a frog up front. But that's nothing. Over here we have a little river made out of glass pebbles with a little wooden bridge and some old-timey trucks going across. Now that little bridge was made by my father many years ago, but he passed away a little over 2 years ago, so my mom needs another one, so it's up to me to do it this time. So I wanted to make mine out of cedar, but all I could find was 1x4s. No one had anything bigger, and 1x4 is technically 3/4 by 3.5 inches. So I couldn't make it like the other one. Now before, it was an arc, it went here, and then there's these cutouts here. Since I couldn't find a piece this wide, and I'm going to have to splice it together, I have a better idea that's going to look so much better. That I'm going to do an arc just across like that. But I didn't want it to be just a regular part of a circle type of arc. I want it to be special. So I have one of these. Now if you don't know what this is, it's just a block of wood with some channels cut here and cross figure. And these little pieces of wood here have been made to be little shuttles. And they're hooked to this arm here, and then there's a handle here on the end. And what you do is you turn it like this. And then when you get sick of turning it that direction, you turn it the other direction. Now this is just a fun novelty thing, but if you look at the handle, it doesn't go around in a circle, it makes an ellipse. And that's what I wanted. So I took this little contraption, which I don't know what it's called, but I took the arm off of it and put a longer arm on. And I used some carpet tape to kind of jimmy rig it into place so it doesn't move. Then I used it with a pencil to trace out the outline of my elliptical arc. So while the piece is still square, I'm going to use my table saw and cut the bottom. Then it was on to the bandsaw to cut the actual arc out. And to clean it up, I used my stationary belt sander. Now this is not the actual piece, this is my routing template. Now the first thing I need to route is my tracing template, which is what I am doing here on a piece of luan. So that gets rough cut out a little closer with the bandsaw, but the rest is done with the router. I again use the carpet tape to tape it down and then pass the router around it and trim it down to the correct size. And this is just going to be my tracing template. So then I figured out the angle that I can cut the cedar, so when I put it together, it has enough that I can fit this arc in it and cut it out. So just like before, I cut it really close to the line, but leave the rest for the router. So I did that again because I need 2 sets. And then I moved on to my 3-piece arc. Same thing, just with 3 pieces. I cut it out close, and then I taped it down and completed the job with the router. And I need 2 sets of those as well. So now it's just a matter of gluing all my pieces together with some urethane waterproof glue. And I have my 2 runners. Of course, they required a little bit of sanding themselves. But before I did all of this, and I was waiting for the glue to dry, I cut down some more of the cedar. These were the treads that were going to go across the bridge, the poles to hold the railing, then a 1/4-inch square piece for the railing itself. Those I put in a black trough, filled it full of water, covered it in plastic wrap, and set it out in the sun. It didn't take long for them to get warm. So now that I have my 2 arches, I need to use them to first bend a piece of wood for the railing and get my measurements for the posts that the railing goes onto. I then took those pieces and I bent them across the arc and clamped them in place with some clamps. And then I set them out in the sun and let them dry. Now before I unclamped everything, I used it so I can get my measurements and my marks for where this railing's going to go once I put in the railing posts. It was at this time that I did the sanding. First with the random orbital sander, and then by hand. And so now at this point it's time to start putting the treads. And I need 14 of them. Now here's where my marks come in from earlier. I want to nibble away these posts where the railing fits in. And the railing still needed to be bent a little bit to get into place, but the pre-bending sure did help. And now just glued and nailed. So after it's all said and done, it looks a little something just like that. Now I knew it needed a clear coat, and I'm not a big fan of the gloss. So I went with my favorite, which is an enamel, but it's matte. Now I like the matte finish because it allows the grain to pop with any kind of clear finish, but it also has that more natural look. Well, there it is, the bridge in all its glory. Now, here's what it looked before, and now after. Before, and now after. That's a mighty, mighty fine bridge. And it didn't take long for it to experience its first Texas thunderstorm. Well, that's how I take care of Mother's Day. I hope you enjoyed that. A little something different, working in the workshop, working with some wood. If you like that, please give me a like. I'd appreciate it. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can subscribe. I want to thank these people right here. These are my patrons. These are people helping me out. They seem to be growing by the minute, and I thank every single one of them. And if you want to join them, you can. There are perks. Please check it out. Link below. But that's it. So I want to thank you again for watching. Goodbye.